What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Wait, What Are We Talking About podcast, episode 227. My name is Brett, aka Enigma 911, and today, for the first time in 5 ever, we have a guest, and he hasn't been here in 5 ever. Extra Life was the last time we saw him. We got John back in the podcast. John, what's up?
I think it was like a year ago.
Podcast-wise?
Yeah. No, not podcast-wise.
Extra Life?
Extra Life.
Yeah, we're really close.
Yeah, it was about a year ago. I can't.
Keep an eye out. Almost a year ago. Jesus Christ.
Shameless plug there.
Who knows?
Helping y'all out.
Who would have thought it happened the same time every year?
Wait, it does?
I mean, yeah.
Oh.
Not date-wise, but
Day-wise.
day-wise, the time frame of the year, a certain weekend.
That you pull 24 hours.
Yeah.
I still don't know how you do that. I can barely pull 12 hours at work.
Well, that's different. That's work. Don't get me wrong. It's still tiring here. But
it's technically work. You're working.
Yeah, working for the kids. Anyways.
Do it for the kids.
Do it for the kids. If you want to catch this podcast live, you can go over to twitch.tv/Enigma911. You can drop a follow over there. You'll get notified when we go live. So you join in the fun and chaos with us and conversation. But if you can't catch it live, that's A-OK. Go over to YouTube and podcast services the very next week, where it's broken out topic by topic and put as one big video and MP3 for your amusement on the following Friday. Now, last but not least, any way you can support, like, share, review, whatever it is, may seem small, but does help the channel grow. So if you take the time to do that, we would love and appreciate you for it. Nailed it. So, John is back.
Very good.
Thank you, sir. John is back. We're going to be talking about some fun variety of topics today.
Mm-hmm.
John, you brought 2 topics to the table, so do you want to do the sandwich gimmick? Your topic, my topic, your topic?
Sure, why not?
Right, cool. Well, sir, what is our first topic today? If you can read my shit handwriting. Or
no, I
can.
I can. I'm just wondering which one I want to go with first.
Yeah.
Which one? Is
Cutthroat or Sunshine Rainbow? No, I'm just kidding. That's not. This is why I hate Brett. Wait, well.
The reasons I hate Brett.
I haven't been on the stream in a year.
I would say let's go with the computer one, because I think that one. I think the James Gunn one will have a lot more.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, spoiler alert.
You're good.
That one I think will have a lot more in-depth conversation.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, so my question and my topic that I wanted to talk about, I've been looking on just like on Google and like the Google alerts. I have like WWE stuff. I have
Sorry, I had to do it.
he must have done something so bad to lose that. Different day for a different topic.
He didn't lose the IC title. He just won it.
No, the other guy.
Braun Breaker?
Yeah.
No, he's going to spear the shit out of Jey Uso. It's going to be like, yay, Jey won. And then Braun's going to kill him. We're like, no. Bloodline.
I just hope
November. War Games. We're on a separate topic. I'm so sorry.
I just personally hope that they don't make him the next Jeff Hardy.
Breaker?
No.
Oh, Oos?
Yeah, Oos.
No.
I hope not.
We're under new management. Yeah. We're getting sidetracked. I
sorry.
love talking wrestling, but that's not what we're here for.
It's ADHD, man. It's gotten worse.
We're good.
My wife has it, so I
people are like,
bad.
Brett, you talk wrestling all the fucking time. We want you to talk about something else. Come on,
please. So yes, I've noticed that with video games and everything, they're talking about the next gen consoles. And they're talking about how, they're coming soon. They're on they're on the road to release, and I'm just like, I just got my Xbox X, and it was only like 2, maybe 3 years after they put it out for sale. So I'm just like, I'm not even getting enough time to actually enjoy my Xbox or like a PlayStation 5. Like I haven't even gotten a PlayStation 5 because it's so ungodly expensive. But like I want one. But the problem is now it's like, if I have to drop $500, $600 every single time a console comes out, wouldn't it just be better to get a PC? So, like, my question is PC the master race? Because I'm starting to see that it is, because of how much consoles are starting to be. And, I can get all of the video games that I play on Windows or Xbox on Windows.
Right.
So, why not? Why not just get actually, it's different. The Game Pass for Xbox is
different.
different.
Game Pass for PC is different than Game Pass
I didn't know
for
that.
Xbox.
And
Yeah.
that's another thing. It's actually cheaper on the PC. I'm just like, you got to be kidding me. But those are kind of some things that I've been thinking about and wondering. Since one, you own a PC, and two, obviously, is it more cost efficient? Because I do know that some motherboards and some, I don't even know if I'm using the right terminology, but like some of the hardware is as much as a console or two consoles.
Sure.
So, is it really worth it?
Right. That's a lot of good questions. And yeah, it's definitely been a discussion piece I've heard going around with. So one thing I want to correct you on. Remember when we used to have the little laptop perfection?
Yeah.
So they're not talking next-gen consoles quite yet.
Okay.
They have the only news in terms of Xbox side and PlayStation side that I've heard of next-gen consoles is apparently Sony and AMD, I believe, just hooked up in the bed and are like, hey, we're going to make the PlayStation 6 chip or whatever the fuck is going inside it.
Interesting.
That's the only thing I've heard there. However, recently, Sony has announced the PlayStation 5 Pro, and there's a lot of tizzy about the price of that.
Oh yeah.
So we're not next gen just yet. This is like that mid gen.
We're at the cusp. They're starting to bring out like the better, like, you know, there's always that moment where it's just like, oh well, this one has more space.
Sure.
This one has more power.
Which is usually halfway through a generation. Granted, we're really looking at, you know, now this is where it gets difficult because I'm not super savvy on like the numbers of stuff. So for example, the PlayStation 5 to PlayStation 4 era, that gap was 10 years.
Yeah.
So around the 5-year mark, the PlayStation 4 Pro was announced.
Yep.
PS3, PS4, this is where I get shaky. I don't remember the gap of time there.
I don't either.
I want to say it was similar 10 years. It could have been shorter. It could have been longer. I don't know.
So I got my first PlayStation 3 when I was in high school.
Sure.
And it was the big blocky one. So it was like first generation.
The backwards compatible one.
Yeah. So I think that one was like 2000. I think it was my sophomore year. And you're a year behind me, right?
Yeah, I graduated 2011.
Yeah, so, yeah, it was about...
So 2008?
2008-ish.
Okay.
Time frame, 2009 maybe.
Sure.
No, 2008. Yeah, you were right.
Okay.
So, from then to... I think I got mine in 2014.
Was your...
PS4, I think.
Okay, well, PlayStation... See, PS5 launched during the dark times.
Oh,
2019, 2020. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm pretty sure.
And that's why they didn't have enough. That's right.
Yes, yeah, we had the whole shortages.
Even if you had the money, you couldn't buy it. Same with Switches.
Yeah. So in terms of next gen, the only news I've heard is the chip. Switches is this weird one because they do whatever the fuck they want.
Well,
like,
it's Nintendo.
There's been rumors of a Switch 2 for like 5 years now. So
I also saw something along those lines that Switch or Nintendo was making the next generation of their line, and just like, it's Nintendo. Nintendo can do whatever they want.
Yeah,
they may not outsell a PlayStation or an Xbox, but like, they make good money still.
I don't know. Switches are pretty popular.
Well, I mean, back in the 2020 for sure.
Oh, they're still selling like hotcakes. But
I mean, I want one. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, they're nice.
I probably would buy a Switch before I bought a PlayStation. There's only like
cheaper.
There's only 2 or 3 games like I want to play on PlayStation.
R.I.P. We need to talk. No, I'm just kidding. That's fair. That's fair. So in terms of next gen, the only cusp I would say is Nintendo. But granted, like I said, the Switch 2 has been rumored for 5 years, so who even knows?
And I feel like Nintendo's always like behind that because the way that their games are made is not like a first-person shooter.
Oh, it's different. Yeah,
it's completely different, and they don't need the certain processors the way that like a Modern Warfare needs.
Yeah, they're focused on other games or other stuff. They don't need those. Yeah. So with that, I don't know. In terms of a price frame, so I talked about the Pro, the PlayStation 5 Pro. Everybody was getting tizzy with that. So it's $700 for the console.
Ooh.
That is without a disc drive.
That's without a disc?
It's without a disc drive. You can buy a disc drive, which is another thing people are getting mad at.
Which is like, what, 150?
No, for a disc drive, I think it's 50 to 80. Can't remember. It's still, still dumb. So the only selling point of the PlayStation Pro 5 Pro, excuse me, compared to a base PS5 was the research that they gathered was a lot of players are playing, when you play games, you get 2 output options. You get fidelity, which is your 30 frames per second, looks gorgeous, everything's maxed up graphically.
Right.
Then you have performance mode, which is a steady 60, but everything is scaled back graphics.
Yeah, so the like if you're playing Assassin's Creed, the lights and the way that
it may not reflect as much, and ray tracing and all the
that's what
terminology. Yeah.
The ray tracing.
Yeah. So in their research, they realized that 75% of players are playing performance mode over fidelity mode.
Really?
Yeah, a lot. That surprised a lot of people. I was like, hey, that's me.
Really?
Yeah. So I was like, okay. So their goal is to mesh these two. So the graphics, or rather the system, can hold up and
60
keep
frames per second. Yeah.
A steadier frame rate for these higher fidelity graphics like the devs are making. So what they've done is they focused on the big 3, like the Miami Heat big 3. They focused on ray tracing. They focused on like individual pixel bullshit that will help the graphics, whatever.
Right.
That's the big selling point. Is graphically this thing's gonna look like much better,
and it can run at 60.
And it can run either 60 or closer to 60.
So at that point, it is a PC.
I mean, all consoles are a PC technically. Yeah.
Now they are, because like the gen before this, I would argue they weren't even close processing speed wise or processing power wise. Now, absolutely, like the Xbox X Series and the PlayStation 5, 100% have the same processing as a computer.
So with that, there's a lot of backlash at the $700 point. Excuse me. With the internet, we know it's a cesspool of everybody. Everybody's now brought in the question you brought in today: is it better to get just a PC?
Right.
This is where I'm like, hold up now.
Right.
Now, yeah, I have a PC. Do I PC game on it?
A little bit.
Little bit. So, granted, take everything I'm saying with a grain of salt. Right. I am not PC Master Race Guru here that knows how to switch these out, switch that, upgrade drivers. No, I don't know how to do that. Yes, that console is expensive. And expensive for no disk drive. I understand we're going digital. I don't want to go all digital. I like options. I like owning my games. Granted, you can make the argument you're still not owning your games because it's just the key on the disc. I don't care. If I want to play something old, I'd like a disc drive to put it in.
Exactly.
So anyways, $700. Yes, that is...
It's a pretty penny.
Insane. I thought $500 for the PS5 was insane. Like, that's a decent chunk,
Yeah.
So...
I think the PlayStation 4 was $400.
I can't remember. I didn't get that at launch. I was late to the party, so...
I think I got it at $400, but I did it incrementally. Like,
gotcha.
Here's my PlayStation. I'm trading it in.
Sure.
And I've already put like $200 down. So.
Yeah. And I know a lot of people do that as they trade up. I don't know why. It's just like, I'm going to keep the old thing.
I wanted to do it, but they didn't have anything. So, and now like GameStop doesn't do that anymore.
Oh, they don't.
Not to that extent.
Gotcha.
Like you bring in your stuff, like I'll give you $100. I'm like,
sure, it doesn't go as far as you would like it to.
Yeah,
sure.
So like games don't help you out anymore for your trade-in value. Like you get like $10.
Sure. Gotcha.
So it's like I stopped doing that and I went all digital because it's just like, what's the point of having a physical copy if I can't get anything out of it?
Sure. Yeah. So with the price point being $700, I get it. That is a lot to ask, and especially being an upgrade where PlayStation 5 specifically, I know I'm talking a lot PlayStation centric. I don't have the latest Xbox generation. There hasn't been a lot of exclusives that reached out to me of like, you need an Xbox. There's some stuff coming out. I'm like, hey, that looks really good. I think it's Song of Midnight. Can't remember. I am so sorry. Check out a past podcast. I talked about it. But there's some stuff that they're putting out now. I'm like, oh, that looks really cool. But PlayStation's been my ecosystem of things that I want to play. So that's just why I'm speaking about it.
100%. You are definitely PlayStation fanboy, and I'm an Xbox fanboy.
Yeah.
Like I did make a switch, and I don't know when that was. Like I think it was. My roommate had an Xbox, and he's like, you can play whatever game you want. And I started playing the game, and I never looked back. So,
yeah, I was back and forth. I started PS2 era. That was my first console. Then went 360 because obviously Halo was the shit that everybody was playing.
Oh, yeah, Halo.
And then, I kind of gravitated back with PS4 era. But where was I going with this? Oh, yeah, so 700 is a lot. Totally get that.
Mm-hmm.
However, if you're thinking on the PC side of things, now granted, once again, little PC player here, me. What do I play majority? Indies that are not on consoles for another year, if they even come out.
Right.
So I'm not playing anything super extensive or whatever.
Right.
I got my PC for one reason only. Streaming.
Yeah.
And that was 2000. For all the bells and whistles, make it nice. Shout out Fortnite competition where I did ass, but still got enough for it. So that's a hefty price. 700. Not as bad as
comparatively.
Absolutely. Now I could get what everybody is saying. Is it more worth getting? Is it more worthwhile getting the PC?
Right.
And I can't answer that question accurately because I don't know what the process is like of upgrading your graphics card, updating your drivers. How strenuous is that, or stressful, or annoying rather, when I just want to play a game, put it into the thing, boom, it works. The convenience, that's the key word here, convenience of the consoles.
You don't have to worry about
it. You don't have to worry about it. Yes, there are updates. Yes, there are day one patches. Yes, there's all these things. However, I turn on my system, it says, hey, you have an update, and it downloads said update.
Yeah.
Could that be stressful? Like, I just came home from work, I just want to play, blah,
right.
It has an update. Yes, of course. There are ways to work around it. You can put your PlayStation in rest mode, auto updates. You could put your Xbox into some setting that has it update in the background type thing. So there are workarounds. Nintendo, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure how Nintendo's updates work.
Yeah.
I've never seen them.
But that's the convenience factor that I think for console-specific players, we like. I like just turning it on. I can play a game. If it needs to update, I don't have to switch out pieces of my console. I don't need to be a technician. I don't need to get the big, tiny glasses on,
Yeah.
PC, while I understand why people love it so much, because you can up your frame rate, you can up your graphics to the super max, you can change all these settings.
Especially if you're into the nitty gritty of it, absolutely.
Sure. And if that's your thing, awesome. I am happy for you. With all the frame rate discussion, I may just be a dum-dum. I can't really tell. Obviously, I can tell if something goes under 30 seconds.
Yeah, I can't.
30 frames, excuse me, because then it's like, oh, it's stuttery. 30 to 60,
yeah,
I'm done. Past 60, nope.
Yeah.
Whenever they do those side by sides, like, this is the graphics on this. This is the graphics on, like,
what?
Huh?
I can't tell very much either. There are the thing that people have told me, it is like, it's the monitor. Your monitor, like, because if your computer is running at that, but you have a crappy monitor, you're not going to see it because your monitor has to pick it up.
Same as your television for your consoles.
Exactly. So I get what you're saying. Like the thought of like, oh, it's a strenuous process. Oh, I just want to play the game. Oh, like, why do I have to do this? It's actually not as strenuous as you think. Because like, when I lived with Dan, the one who built his computer, it was literally just like, oh, okay, done. Like that's it. Or it's click, 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 click. Okay, I'm done. Like, and like, but the thing is he was doing constant maintenance all the time. But one, he enjoys it, and two, like that's one thing he would go to school for is computer technology, and that's what he's doing, kind of. So, it's not as hard as you would think it is. It's literally just clicking something, pulling it out, putting something new in. Especially if you have it all built in. If you are not confident in what you're doing, there's obviously tutorials, there's YouTube. I mean, there are people that literally teach you how to do everything. So I would argue that it's much easier than waiting for an update, because 9 times out of 10 you don't have to wait for the update. You don't have to wait to put the thing in. It's just the game will run or it won't run, and you'll know. For computers, like, oh well, I just need to get more RAM. Okay, no problem. RAM's not the hardest thing to put in. It's like this little cartridge, put it in. At least to my understanding. Again, I'm not a PC guy. I would like to be, but from what everyone that I've talked to, even outside of when I lived with Dan, I've met a lot of people. They're just like, yeah, I can play all my games on PC. Like, yes, there's cross-platform games now, so like I can play Gears of War with somebody who's playing it on their PC, and you know, if I can just play it on my PC and connect my controller to my PC, why not just play it on the PC? Yes, the hefty price tag for the computer is $2,000-ish.
Yeah, I mean, granted, obviously it's different based on what you're going for, a gaming laptop. Or
yeah, I mean,
whatever.
I would say if you want a really good laptop and you are a PC nerd, $2,500 is about the median of what you want to spend on a brand new computer, and you want to part it out. You don't want to just go get a pre-made. There are a lot of people that are just like, oh, pre-mades are just as good. Well, you can't actually go in because you void your warranty, and if you void your warranty and something bad happens, you can't get a new computer. So if you part it out and you put it together yourself, like, it's much easier because you know where everything is. You've done the cable management. You can go in and upgrade it, and you don't have to worry about a warranty because you didn't get a warranty. But so you get that $2,000. You have that PC until the end of its life, until you cannot upgrade it anymore.
Right.
And it's like, okay, well, I have to give it a new motherboard. My friend who lives in Pittsburgh, who was my DM, because of life circumstances, I can't play with them anymore. He had, I think he went down to Florida to do graphic design and video game design, and they helped him put together a computer. He's had that computer since the early 2000s, and he just now is at the point of, I can't upgrade it anymore. I need something new.
Cool.
So, like, that to me is like 20 years, almost close to 20 years. So, like, having a console for 10 years and then having to shell out another $500-$600 versus, parting out a computer here and there, like, in the long run, I think it's cheaper because you only have to spend a certain amount every so often to upgrade it. Like RAM, I don't know how expensive RAM is, but I do know that it's like close to $100 if you want good RAM, depending on how many you want. But if like the big ticket items are like a couple thousand, obviously. So like your processing system, that's going to be a $1,000 or something. But everything else is like at most $300.
Yeah, I guess it depends. I mean, if you really start thinking of how many upgrades you are doing, that will add up.
Yeah.
So if I have a console for 10 years at $500, compared to the initial hypothetical 2,000 of the PC, upgrade for those 20 years. Don't get me wrong. Like, okay, let's say the hypothetical PS5 went 10 years for $500.
Yeah.
I get the PS5 Pro. I'm not for $700. That's only 13 compared to the initial 2, and then the upgrades for the 20 years. But granted, once again, I don't know how much I'm upgrading. Like you said, we don't know the prices.
Right.
That would just be my thing of like, it's obviously a bigger initial price, and how often do I need to go in, tweak it, etc.
And it's really all dependent on like what you use it for. So like for streaming, obviously, like you want to have something that is gonna be. I don't even know because I'm so removed from the world that I don't know what I'm going to need. Like if I want something of like, I want to play Call of Duty and I want to stream, I need a hefty computer. Like my one friend who's in the UFC, he also streams and he also plays video games. Mike Davis, go watch him sometime. He's pretty cool on the UFC. Nice. But he does it every now and then. But like I see that he streams and I see that he's playing Call of Duty. Like he's got to have a hefty computer, and
especially if you're doing it on the same machine. Yeah,
and I see his rig and his computer rig and everything set up is like really really nice. So it's got to be a pretty penny.
Sure,
but if you're just looking to do a casual gaming kind of type thing, like for you, I think yours is perfect. I think you just need to add as you play games.
Right, if I was even going to do that, but yes,
exactly. Like I bet you haven't spent anything more.
I haven't touched. I've cleaned it, and that's it.
Exactly, and then like I bet there will be someday in the future, maybe 5 years down the road, that there's going to be a game that you really want to play, and you want to play it on your PC, but it's like, hey, you need more RAM.
Sure.
Oh, well, that's an easy fix.
Right.
And that's only like maybe $300, like egregiously.
Sure.
Like we're just gonna say out of nowhere, like with the economy the way it's going, or and inflation, whatever. Like $300 for more RAM that you need. Like that's not that much compared to a $500-$600 drop to get a new console. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And then you can have that same RAM for the next like 10 years.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
that's just my thought process.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's interesting for sure. Yeah, everything's going up, and I think the thing with consoles too, it's interesting because how much more can we push it in terms of graphically? I guess it's not just consoles, but even PCs. Like, how much farther can graphics go?
Yeah.
So it's like, what is the next facet that you're gonna sell me? Like, is it just more storage? Which, I mean, don't get me wrong, storage is nice, and obviously these games are getting bigger.
These gamers, man.
These games are getting bigger in terms of file size,
Right.
just because of obviously the graphics they're
Right.
pulling behind it, or the size of the games.
I mean, the last Call of Duty was what? Almost 500 gigs?
I remember there was some crazy number, but
Yeah.
I think they somehow spanned it or whittled it down. Like, it's still huge.
It's
I haven't had a Call of Duty in years, so I don't know how much.
The last one that I played was free, and now
Sure.
they're putting Black Ops free on the Game Pass.
Oh, okay.
So that's the only reason I'm getting it.
Because Activision got bought.
And I'm okay with it.
Sure. Yeah, I think for, like, example, Mortal Kombat 1, which I still have on my PlayStation 5.
The new Chaos came out. Did you get it?
Yeah, we streamed it on Tuesday.
So good.
Uh,
Well, just Mortal Kombat.
Oh yes, the game itself, the DLC story.
It
was
more.
okay.
It
Yeah,
could have
been
had more.
$50 for that.
The $50
For the DLC. Yeah.
Okay,
I mean,
that's
it's
not-
Combat Pack 2 and the story expansion. But guess what, John? You can only get Combat Pack 2 if you buy the story expansion.
That's stupid.
Yeah. So I mean, whatever. That different time.
Should have been like $20-$30. Not
so
50.
Base game, I think, is 100 gigs for Mortal Kombat 1. So I mean,
That's about a normal game.
they're getting bigger.
Yeah, that's about a normal size game now.
Depending on what you got. Like, obviously, NetherRealm, graphically, they do well, especially with their character models and stuff. So It depends. I just got Star Wars Outlaws. I don't know how big that's going to be.
I heard that was good, and like nowadays, because things are so expensive, like I always watch reviews, but I heard it's good.
Oh, I've heard mixed things, but for me, I was like, I've seen enough. I want to try it.
Yeah.
But like size wise, I don't know how that is because it is obviously the open world
First
stuff.
time.
Yeah. So like games like that, yes, they're understandably going to be bigger. But trying to think of something like obviously indie games are still in the
30s,
1 gig to 20 gig range, depending on what they are.
I mean, Skyrim, the anniversary one that they remade, that was like 30-something gigs.
Right. Well, that was also originally on Xbox 360 era. We couldn't hold that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that makes sense. But, yeah, it's going to be interesting of, like, what's going to be the next selling point, I guess, or what's going to be, like, make those new consoles like, oh, my God, you have to get this.
Versus just getting a PC.
Versus, well, getting just the PC, but also, like, what is going to be that pushing element? Because obviously PS5 was, it's another graphics overhaul. And we've had that for generations.
Or even bigger, let's go down to, like, casual exclusives. You cannot get them on PC, no matter what you can do. But now, you can.
Yeah, which this was the second part we talked about before the podcast leading into or discussing this topic was like exclusives. You mentioned how PlayStation is starting to put stuff on PC.
Yeah, like Ghost of Tsushima, God of War Ragnarok now, Helldivers was like partnered like from the start, and then PlayStation's like, oh yeah, well, we want you to have a PlayStation Network, and then all that debacle happened.
Sure, well, debacle happened.
So people who bought it on streams, they basically said you can't play it unless you have a PlayStation Network.
Oh, that's just Sony.
Yeah.
You need a login, yes, but...
And they were just like, not happening.
Sure.
So that debacle.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, exclusives is a weird discussion point right now, too, because it's not going away entirely, obviously, but obviously
Slowly.
those lines are going away.
Yeah.
to talk about wrestling again. Similar to wrestling in the Forbidden Door, man. Okay, sorry.
Forbidden Door!
But it seems like those walls are coming down because, yes, Sony is putting stuff on PC, which I think is great.
Yeah.
You're getting a whole new audience who is PC Master Race or whatever. They're
Right.
like, oh, this is here, and it is, I think, hopefully cheaper. And being like, oh, yeah, I'm going to jump into it.
I'm not sure.
No,
I haven't looked at prices to compare because, like, I've just been excited that, like, wow, Sony gatekeeps a lot of their things, especially, like, Spider-Man. Like, if we were to talk about other things, like Spider-Man, something they've gatekeeped, and, like, now they're letting go some of their big name titles to PC, and it's like, that's really interesting. Why are you doing that?
I'm curious if it's like, well, granted, the titles they have put out so far are older titles, so it could just be like, hey, let's get more money from this, and get new players.
It's a great marketing scheme. Like, love it, 100%. So I would do it if I was the CEO. It's like, hey, well, let's release this game. There's probably some PC players that don't have a PlayStation, and like, I can ramp up the graphics to make it look even more pretty.
Sure.
So, like, totally get it.
Yeah. And I don't know if it's a move to be like, not go away from your PC forever, but potentially like, oh, this was a lot of fun. I want to see what else PlayStation has to offer.
Right.
Maybe I'll get a PlayStation 5 or whatever. But granted, that is asking a lot, and that is a big gamble. But look at Xbox. Xbox released exclusives on PlayStation as well.
Really?
Yes. This past year... Nothing huge, don't get me wrong. It's
I
not like a Halo.
I kind of heard something along those lines.
It's not like a Halo or a Gears. Yet. But they did take some of their exclusives and also launch them on PS5. I believe it was 5 titles. Hi-Fi Rush was one of those.
Oh.
Grounded was one of those. Ooh, I had another one and I lost it.
Is it the one where it's kind of like Rick and Morty where you got that alien gun?
High on Life?
Yeah.
I think that was a timed exclusive.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That they just had. But these are like Xbox Studio titles getting put on PlayStation.
Nothing from Bethesda anymore.
Actually, that's up in the air. Because, like,
Bethesda's no longer doing exclusive?
Well, no. So Xbox does own Bethesda.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get me wrong. Everything seems to be, like, when they bought them and they bought Activision, they're like, oh, these are our babies now, right? They're going to be our exclusives. It seems like they're kind of backtracking a little bit on that of like, maybe we'll still put it out on this console.
Well,
like,
you can make more money because they're making royalties
right,
at
which,
that point.
I mean, duh, why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
So, like, certain things, Starfield, we also talked about before podcast.
Yeah.
That had a PlayStation version being worked on, that got the axe. So that's only here.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yes, that's only on Xbox.
Okay.
Yeah. But I feel like they might have talked about something maybe still coming out in terms of Sony side. Obviously, there's no Fallout in work right now. Elder Scrolls is in that weird limbo of I don't know what the fuck's going on.
I think Elder Scrolls is going to come out, and unfortunately, there is a high chance it's going to be next gen. And that is just my pessimistic thought on that.
Like, you mean PS6, Xbox X2, or whatever?
Yeah,
Jesus.
that's my pessimistic side coming out.
Oh God.
I am optimistic, but when it comes to Skyrim or Elder Scrolls, I've given up hope.
We saw the sky, and that was it.
Yep.
But I feel like they're kind of it's hit or miss on what titles might just be Xbox or might reach over. Granted, I'm not bringing a lot of info to the table, but I feel like I heard that was a talking point.
You're not wrong. I've heard that there has been whispers about that. So, but also again, I don't know what those titles are. I haven't done any research into it just because for the sheer fact of I have a wife and she says I can't buy a PlayStation.
Okay. So I can't know where things are going.
No, it's mainly for the fact that it's just I'm not interested.
Oh, sure, that's fair.
But I love my wife, just in case she watches this. No, I do love my wife, but yeah, I have so many things I need to think about now. Bringing somebody into my life. I mean, it's only been like 2 years, going on 3. Like, I have other things I have to worry about.
Sure.
So like, thinking about like a game that I don't have or can't have, I just don't think about it.
That's fair.
Yeah. Like, I think the last PlayStation game that I enjoyed and loved and played was Valhalla. God of War Valhalla. That was so.
Oh, you mean Ragnarok?
Yeah.
Yes. Yep,
well, the version Valhalla part of it, because that was so good.
Okay.
Well, yeah, Ragnarok.
There's God of War
Valhalla.
2018, and then there's God of War Ragnarok was the sequel. But yeah,
Sorry,
no,
yes.
you're good. You're good.
That
I was
one.
just like, because there was Valhalla, but that was Assassin's Creed Valhalla. So I'm like,
Oh, yeah, you're right.
you're good.
You're right.
right.
I haven't beaten that yet. I'm very close to beating
They're
it,
big
though.
games.
Yeah, but yeah, God of War Ragnarok Valhalla was. I feel like I've become like how you've become a battle royale player. Like,
Yeah.
because I hate battle
No,
royales.
that's fair.
I've known you to
Dabble.
more dabble,
Yeah.
but lean more towards the wanting to play those. I don't even want to dabble sometimes. But I think for me, like if there's a new roguelite, I'll play it until I die. Like
Nice.
I love roguelites. I actually just recently bought it was like under $10. What was it? I can't remember the name of it, but it is a roguelike for like the Aztec gods, and if you're in the dark, you take more damage, and if you light something up, you don't take as much damage. Something about the gods, the dark, the blood of the gods, or something like that.
Oh. Okay. Yeah.
And you go into 3 different categories. You either go red, green, or blue, and you go to the different Aztec or South American gods. And it's really fun. And I'm one little tick away from beating it, but like Dead Cells was a really good one. Hades, oh, I can't wait for Hades 2.
I'm about to ask, like, did you play Hades? Are you talking about that? But
Yes,
no,
that's a roguelike. It's just like when I first played it and died, I was like, oh no, and then I started over. I'm like, oh, this is interesting, and I've fallen in love with roguelites because you find builds, and when you get the builds and when they synchronize and you get the duos, it's just like, it's so cool. And you just become super uber powerful. But yeah, like I don't know, man. I don't know what I'm gonna do next with consoles.
Sure.
Or if I'm gonna go PC. I just don't know.
You got time, like you said. You're not worried about those games you can't play. So yeah, just coast on that Series X, you know.
Trying.
Yeah. Hey, that's fine.
I want to get Cyberpunk really bad
Okay.
because I want Keanu Reeves in my life.
Well, that's fair. Yeah, it's not Game Pass. If
It's like
Okay.
it was like 30% off a little while ago.
want to hear a pro tip,
Yeah.
now I don't know how Xbox does it, so this may just be a Sony pro tip, and I'm so sorry for leading you down this path.
No, it's all good.
So during the launch or the early stages of the PlayStation 5 era,
Yeah.
they were but they were making a lot of like director's cuts or like
Yeah,
high
yeah,
def
yeah.
cuts
Yeah.
from PlayStation 4 titles to PS5.
Yeah.
Cyberpunk was one of those. You could get a PlayStation 5 version, wrapped up, all that jazz, of Cyberpunk or these other titles.
Right.
Or if you owned a PS4 version, for a $10 upgrade, you could get the next gen console version. So what did this guy do with Cyberpunk?
I do remember them doing that for PlayStation. I don't know if they did that for Xbox.
I don't know about Xbox, but yeah.
So like for Xbox, it's very specific. If you are playing on Xbox, you will see an X/S next to it. So I think they just basically said, we're just going to roll the dice and make people rebuy them.
Sure. Which we can do. Which Sony does as well. They'll have like a PlayStation 4 version or a PlayStation 5 version.
Right.
And people who love trophies are like, fuck yeah, I can get 2 sets of trophies.
Why
for this.
not?
Yeah, and I'm sure you could do that with achievements as well. But yeah, that's what I did with Cyberpunk, is I found a cheap copy at a local mom and pop shop. And I was like, oh, why $10 and go for the PlayStation 5 version? So I don't know how it works on Xbox, but
Right.
for some research.
Yeah. Because also just like I had a thought. I had a really good thought. I'm trying to remember it. Oh, yeah, because like back in the day when PlayStation 3 switched over to PlayStation 4, I mean, we didn't have that.
Right.
But the game was very different. Like PlayStation 3 game, like I remember very specifically 2K Basketball 2K from PlayStation 3 to PlayStation 4, completely different. Yeah. I had the same game, and just it looked different. It played different. You did different things, like so. Yeah. I'm wondering how different the games are from Xbox One, PlayStation 4 to the other.
That upgrade. I think not much. Like in terms of like graphics, obviously it's better, and how it runs, it's better. But
story and gameplay.
I don't think it's like how it used to be, where it was so different console to console of what version you were getting. I think it's So I mean, if you didn't want to or could not upgrade, I don't think you're gonna miss out. I'm like, oh no, I didn't get this. Keanu's not even in the PS4 version, the Xbox One version.
Keanu. He will be a staple forever.
Yep.
But yeah, that's my topic, and I'm sticking to it.
Nice. Yeah, let us know in the comments down below how wrong we got everything.
And not only that, tell us how we should part a computer.
Please.
And thank you. Because I need help.
Yeah, we'll help John out.